Angie, we're in downtown Orlando. You would not know it when you walk out your door, mainly because this is such an intimate setting. I would call it an oasis in downtown Orlando, and maybe you call it the same thing. Tell our viewers where we're located.
We are in the heart of downtown Orlando, but we're privately tucked with 4 buildings, so when you're on the property, you wouldn't realize we are in the heart of downtown.
And I didn't realize there was a lake in downtown.
Yes, Lake Lucerne is in front of our property.
Okay, now it is called the Courtyard at Lake Lucerne.
Correct.
And if you would tell our viewers now about the various pieces of property that we have here, because there are a number of houses that make up this complex.
Yes, we're comprised of 4 buildings. We started with the Norman Perry, which is the oldest house on record in Orlando. It was built in 1883, and our owners originally owned that property. And then they added the I.W. Phillips house that was built in 1917, the Welborn, which was the first apartment complex in Orlando that was built in the 40s and 50s, and then lastly the Dr. Phillips house that was built in 1893.
The suites, I guess you would call them the suites in the Welborn. Very retro, if you will.
Our Art Deco collection.
Yeah. And is that from the owners? Did they look at that, or did they bring someone in and say, let's see if you can make this, because it's modern compared to the rest of the houses?
Correct. The Welborn has won awards for preserving the Art Deco features.
Now, in there, how many rooms do we have? Or they are suites. Each one has several rooms.
Correct. There are 15 total, but 14 that are available as part of the bed and breakfast.
And what would you find inside there as far as the rooms? Is there a living room and then a bedroom?
Yes. They all have a bedroom, sitting room, kitchenette, and bath. But unlike a traditional hotel, they are all furnished differently. So each room offers a kind of a different theme, a little bit of a different flair.
Should point out that their kitchenettes, I thought, were really very nice. Very good coloring, just about what you need for running here and there, and if you just wanted to relax and cook up something quickly in your microwave that you got out of your refrigerator.
Yes, they have a microwave, refrigerator, coffee maker, so if you're staying a night or two, it's nice to have the extra amenities.
And a good-sized living room. I noticed there's some do provide a fold-out bed.
We have a couple that do. With our bed and breakfast, all of the rooms only have one bed, with a couple exceptions with a fold-out couch.
Let's talk about the main house now. What do we have in there? What was the name of that again?
The Norman Perry.
The Norman Perry. Okay, and how many rooms are in there?
There are 6 Victorian rooms, and the owner had a different artist that decorated each room separately. So each room is named after the person that designed the original room.
Oh, very good. That's a nice idea. Now, that is very Victorian.
Yes. And one of the cute stories about that house is both the owner and his son were attorneys, and they decided to start with that home and open it as a bed and breakfast, 6 rooms. The owner is an avid collector, deals in antiques, and everything in the home had a price tag, and it was for sale. So people would come in and purchase antiques as well as operate as a bed and breakfast. So if they sold the bed, they had to quickly replace it before the guest was going to check in.
I bet that happened a lot because there are some beautiful pieces of furniture in there. Okay, now we have this home that we are doing our interview in. What is the name of this one?
This is the I.W. Phillips house. This house was built in 1917, and it has 3 Edwardian suites upstairs.
Angie, when we talk about various rooms in this particular home, we evidently have several rooms attached that you actually rent for the evening or the days.
Correct. 3 rooms are upstairs that open out onto their own balcony that overlooks our courtyard.
Now, you also have another home, and that is actually across from the Welborn.
Yes.
On the other side of it.
On the other side of the Welborn is the Dr. Phillips house.
Tell us about that house.
That house was built in 1893. Colonel Peckham bought it as a wedding gift for his daughter, and then Dr. Phillips, who brought citrus to Orlando, he patented the pasteurization of orange juice. He lived in the home in the early 1900s. And our owner, who owned a grocery store, his family owned a grocery store when he was 11, used to deliver groceries to Dr. Phillips when he lived in the home.
Wow. And now the home is a B&B.
Correct.
You have a breakfast that you serve every morning. It is a continental style, and I guess you would kind of need it that way because of so many people coming and going and doing so many things and so many pieces of property.
Yes, we're very large for a bed and breakfast, so we have an extended continental breakfast with a nice variety, but it is a casual breakfast.
And that is usually served from what time to what time?
Weekdays we offer breakfast 7 to 9 for typically corporate guests, and the weekend 8 to 10 for the more leisure guest.
And I noticed that you serve some fresh fruit there. There are some hard-boiled eggs and some rolls and yogurt for those that need the yogurt. So you've basically covered all bases there.
Yes, we definitely have something for a sweet tooth or something that's a little more substantial for healthy eaters.
Now, on the other side, you have coffee. A strong coffee. This is not your watered-down coffee. This very good coffee. What is that coffee? Do you know?
We have a secret blend of coffee
I see.
that I didn't notice was strong.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, maybe that's...
For an avid coffee drinker.
Okay, right. For an avid coffee drinker, I guess it wouldn't be as strong. But it is a nice coffee service, and right across from it is a tea service.
Yes, and we have personal Courtyard at Lake Lucerne tea bags too.
Let's talk about the Courtyard itself. A very nice area, a very quiet, comfortable area. You can sit on the porch and you can overlook it. Somebody's taking care of those plants all the time.
Yes, we have, our gardens are very lush all year round, and it's a beautiful setting.
And a beautiful setting for a wedding. I would assume you have a lot of weddings here because it is conducive for having it in this main room, which is quite large. And then, of course, with guests could be staying in any one of the properties.
Yes. I like the brides to think that they're the only people getting married, but we do about 200 weddings a year.
200 weddings a year. Mm-hmm. How many can you accommodate?
Up to 200 guests.
Up to 200 here.
Typically 50 to 120 is our average range.
And I've noticed that that's probably what is happening now. Most weddings are about 200 or less. They're not the huge weddings that we remember from our past. Right. People are downsizing, I guess you'd say.
They tend to be a little more intimate.
Yeah. Yeah. If I was say I was a corporate CEO, and I had 35 or 40 people in my company, and I wanted to come to Orlando, and I wanted to use the Courtyard for my conference, what would you tell me? How would you approach me?
We have 2 meeting rooms to accommodate corporate events. We have a smaller one that can accommodate up to 20, and then a larger that liberally it could accommodate up to 60, but 35 would be a nice group.
And of course, I would assume there are probably some special rates reference to rooms and so forth? Correct.
Yes. We offer corporate rates as well as discounted wedding rates for guests coming in.
Okay, now when we go to a wedding, and we're going to have the wedding here, do you take care of everything, or can you suggest various companies to use?
What we do is we furnish the home, like you see it, and then the caterer really comes in, and they're the ones that are going to throw the party, and I'll be their contact as far as the property is concerned, and then the caterer will assist with the setup and the flow of the event.
I would assume that you use certain, or that you can recommend certain caterers that are very well familiar with the Courtyard.
We have 3 approved caterers, Arthur's, Puff and Stuff, and Miners. The family that owns our property are the Miners, and they also own Miners Catering. So we do have Miners Catering as well.
Now I guess you could have the ceremony here as well, could you not?
Yes, we have a lot of ceremonies on our property.
And I bet they have them in the Courtyard if they can have it there.
The ceremony usually is on the veranda with the guest in the gardens, and then we also have the gazebo at the Dr. Phillips house.
Ah, okay, so there's either location they could have.
Correct.
They could go if they wanted at the gazebo, and then would they come over here for the reception, this house?
Actually, we have 2 events simultaneous, and once you're on the property, you wouldn't know we were having an event in the other location. But if your ceremony is in the I.W. Phillips house, your reception would be at the I.W. Phillips, correct?
So it makes it easier, I would assume, to once the ceremony is over, to have the reception at the same location.
Yes.
Yeah. When you talk about this area of Orlando, how long have you been here?
I've been in this position 7 years.
7 years. So you've seen a lot of people come and go. And what is it that they tell you? What are some of the comments that they tell you about the Courtyard?
They love that it's a more intimate, warm. It's more like having an event in your home rather than a big banquet facility. And the guests get extremely excited because it's not something that's typical for weddings that they've been to. But it's a fun atmosphere. It's a lot of fun. It's not a big square banquet facility where people are seated and stay seated. It's very interactive. It's very social, but they love the intimacy of the atmosphere.
If someone was interested in getting more information on the Courtyard, how could they do that?
We have a wonderful website in progress. It has nice photos now, but we are revamping the website. But our website is www.orlandohistoricinn.com.
Thank you very much, Angie, for talking with us and telling us about this beautiful piece of property, as I call it, an oasis in the middle of Orlando, and we wish you a lot of success and luck with it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.